I was initially I had some misgivings going in. I was like, oh, I don't know. Maybe it's just like an Assassin's Creed kind of thing. And I've never really been hot for those games. They kind of bum me out. The whole like follow somebody through a crowd and don't get caught thing is fucking exhausting. And then they didn't really go in a better direction, in my opinion, later. I mean, I know we've got a lot of diehards, but we're not fucking talking to those people right now, so.
Awesome.
But it took almost no time for me to go from like kind of on the fence to fully invested. And I think a lot of that has to do with little details like the music decisions they make and the way the shots are composed and the voice acting. It weirds me out that the Japanese is the dub and the English is the original. And in fact, if you watch the trailers closely, especially if you watch them in Japanese, the mouth movements and the words don't line up quite right because the whole game is designed to be heard in English, which I did not do for even a single second.
Interesting.
I went Japanese from start to finish. Still set to that. Will be set to that for the duration. No shade on the English voice actors. With a production this size, I'm sure they're amazing, but just not how I consume this kind of media.
That's totally fair, I think. Well, and how were the Japanese voice actors? Were they competent?
Terrific. Yeah, they were good. It's interesting because a lot of the stuff that I think, oh, that's really amazing, I realized a little later is just, because they made it seem so much like a samurai movie. Like the way the main character's voice actor sounds, it's very like, okay, yeah, shit, this is just like those stories. This is cool. Kind of like reserved and kind of chill, but capable of like really, really hammering it out and really getting wild when he has to. And the acting itself, I feel like it never came off as particularly bad to me, except some of the side quests kind of feel like you just got to get through it. You have to tell a lot of people that their families are dead, Paul. That comes up a lot. I'm telling you now. You're gonna have a lot of
like the island's been invaded by the Mongols.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, everybody's dead.
It just sometimes it felt like the character who I was telling this news to was just like kind of resigned, like, damn, I guess they are. And it's just like, no, man, it's like the 13th century. You don't got a lot going on right now. I feel like your family's kind of a pretty fucking big deal. So, then they die and it's just like, man, why aren't you like pounding the ground and flipping out? To be fair, there is some of that depending on the people you talk to or the stories you go through where they're just like, holy shit, this is happening to me, I can't believe it. But it seems like the closer you are to the character story-wise, the more they flip out when they find out somebody important is dead.
Okay.
And if it's just like some rando, sometimes, but like a lot of the time they're just like, oh no. And you're like, man, like, it's cool. You don't have to like hold back in my account. Tell me how you really feel, But that's like kind of the only huge flaw I ever really found in the game. Everything else is just as it needs to be. I kind of expected there to be like a karma system where you like do things that will make you better or worse, good or evil.
Yeah.
No, man, you're just doing what you have to do, and some people aren't going to like it, and you just have to be okay with that.
So instead of having a meter that goes up and down, it's more like you just got to live with yourself knowing what you did to dishonor the samurai name.
I won't say, man, I don't want to get too much into it, but you got to sit with some shit, all right? Eventually it's going to get to the point where it's just like, ooh, hey, you sure did that. Wow. No closing that box. Okay.
What's the driving force in this game? Is it driven by the narrative or is it driven by exploration of the open world?
it's interesting because it is driven by the narrative, and if you just do the narrative missions, the game is actually kind of short. Like, you can probably get through it in like, I'm totally guessing here, so don't hold me to this number. I would say 20 hours, maybe 15. Like, you could, if you really hummed along, you could get through the main story. But you can't, man. You can't just plow ahead to the next thing because you just open up into this territory and you're like, no, but I gotta see what else is out there. You know, I gotta see what the rest of this countryside, what this island looks like. It's fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
And people, and like, you don't get a ton of map icons, but you get some, and they're just like, oh, because you'll talk to some random peasant and be like, I heard that there's these guys making trouble over the ridge. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe I'll check that out. And then every time you have one of those conversations, you just get the little question mark. And sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes it's just like a spot where like a shrine is. Sometimes it's a camp full of Mongols you have to murder. But here's two things I should mention right now. There's not a ton of variety in the kinds of things you end up doing. And I genuinely didn't care that there wasn't, because the act of fighting and like swordplay and like combat is so fucking fun that it was more like, oh, really? I get to go to another camp and wipe a bunch of these fucking losers out? Because it's not just like, you're not just gaining levels and growing in power and eventually turning into too much of a walking god, or they're like, these guys can't even touch you. When you get experience, it's just, well, here's some more techniques you can try. But, you know, it's not like a key to the city or anything. They could still just kill you. You can eventually get a lot more hit points and like resolve, so you have more opportunities to fuck up. But like, man, oof. Even just watching back through the video footage when I was like putting the review together, it's crazy how easy like 3 guys can just like corner you, and like just start like taking chunks out of your life, and you have to know which stance you have to switch to the right stance to fight the right guy, because otherwise they can just easily block your attacks. And then while they're doing that, 2 other guys are like cutting your fucking legs off or whatever.
So like, this is a samurai game though. It's as close as you're gonna see to one hit, one kill pretty much all the time.
Like a handful of hits. I made it a point to explore and like beef up my health, and there was like different kinds of armor you can get, and one that I found so far does damage reduction and a health boost, and that's kind of what I wore all the time, because you put on the stuff that was like, now you're better at sneaking around. Oh, 2 guys found you. That's not good. You did the dizzy dance, but you didn't do it right, so you're very dead.
Gotcha.
So I kind of stuck with the one kind of armor, although some missions it's like sneak or suffer. It was just like, don't raise the alarm or else you just have to do it again. Mm-hmm. So you would switch to the sneaky clothes. But man, when you get it right and you can like, because you can switch stances like halfway through a sword swing. You'd be like, oh no, actually I should be raising my sword like this. And you could just switch and switch and switch and do the dance, and like, it's kind of like you know how Arkham Asylum combat, you can like bounce and hop back and forth between enemies?
Yeah.
It's like that, but it's not automatic.
Interesting.
So instead of just mashing buttons and having it happen, you have to like guide your attacks and stuff like that, and you know, dodge and shit like that. It's not a lot more involved, but it's a little bit, and it makes a big difference.
Okay.
And all this kind of adds up to combat that I just keep wanting to go back and do. I don't know if they've shown this in the trailers or anything, but when a samurai starts a fight, he does so by like screaming at the strongest one to come kick his ass.
No, they haven't shown that.
Okay, well,
sounds amazing.
All right. Yeah, so you'll like see a bunch of people on like horseback or on foot coming towards you, and your little like indicators go off saying, oh, somebody's about to see you. And then you'll get this prompt to start a standoff. So you'll just be like, come get me, motherfuckers! But, you know, like, with less swearing and in Japanese. And and then, like, you have to sit there and, like, whoever makes the first move kind of loses. So, like, you're like, huh? And then, like, right when the guy's about to hit you, you just fucking one-shot that loser. Just, like, navel to neck. Just, blah, gouts of blood, and it's just, like, slow motion. You're like, ha, 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 ha. I never got tired of that for a second. I did that shit, like, 60 or 70 times. It's always good.
Man, that's awesome. Does the combat feel like anything else, or is it completely... a unique implementation of samurai-ness?
It's kind of a hodgepodge. Like, you can do, like, dodges and stuff like that, but it's kind of interesting. I have that dodge roll instinct from really tough games, but if you do that, you're just not close enough to hit them with a sword anymore, and some of the really good swordsmen can have, like, move combos that can, like, cross most of an arena in like a second and a half, and much harder to get out of the way of that. But mostly if you do too much dodging, you're too far away for your sword to work. So you have to like strike that happy balance. Also, I didn't really block a whole lot of my playthrough. Not really my style.
Yeah.
I just sort of like took 3 or 4 sword slashes to the face and then struck back. Which probably explains why I liked the armor that absorbed the most damage.
Yeah. The old tank method. I get it.
Yeah, I just but there are some fights like the duels where no, you have to get really good or they're just gonna kill you. Cause like they're so good.
We
like,
packing difficulty levels in this game, or is it all just one thing?
Oh yeah, no, you can pick the settings. There's like easy, medium, and easy, normal, and hard. And I went normal, which I don't often do because I'm kind of a big wuss. But I was like, no, I'll give it a shot. And it gets pretty tough sometimes, but it's never cheap. You're never like, oh, I can't believe that happened. It's more like, well, we'll just do this differently next time.
Yeah.
Duels do sometimes feel like, how is he that good? Fuck him and his entire family and unto 7 generations. Son of a bitch. But when you win the duels, it's good shit. Also, you can't use any trickery or fuckery in duels, which it kind of makes me sad sometimes. You just have to be good with the sword. Because, like, you get bombs, Paul.
I like bombs.
I fucking love bombs.
Smoke bombs, stink bombs.
Smoke bombs, yes, which are kind of fun, but they have these black powder bombs.
Oh.
And yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, it's kind of cheap, but kind of so much fun. Where like 6 guys will be approaching you, like, time for a standoff. And then I win against the first guy, and 5 more are coming, and I chuck 1 explosive, and they just all fall down. And you're like, that should have been harder. Haha, yeah. On the other hand, if you're like, some guys are running up at you, and you're, I'll just switch to the bomb. You gotta be kind of quick about it, or else they're just gonna stab you with a spear right in the stomach. Yeah. And then you can't throw the bomb, or you do, but it's a foot away, and that's not better.
No, that's not good. Just jumping back to the duels for a second. When you say they're challenging, is it challenging but fair, or is it challenging but fuck this guy, he's not obeying the laws of physics right now?
It's challenging in a way that, like, they teach you all this shit about sword battles, and you kind of forget it sometimes in the heat of the moment when you're fighting like 8 guys. You're just like switching stances and stuff like that. And they do teach you like specials that need some lead up time, and like you have to like know that it's gonna work. Like you can't just like run in and do this, because if it's the wrong kind of guy you're fighting, he'll just again stab you in the stomach. But the guys you fight in duels, they don't forget any of that shit. Everything you've been taught about sword battling or whatever, they remember all of it. So it's like the final exam, basically. And they don't forget to block. They don't forget to parry. They don't forget to, if they have special moves, they don't forget to use them. And they've been boosting their own health too, like.
Well, I mean, if you want to be the best samurai ever, I guess you can't just rely on one little set of moves. You gotta
get right in there. You get the resolve you can use. That is used for like special moves, and it's also to like recover health.
Okay. So it's like like an adrenaline thing that you build up because you messed up a bunch of dudes. Yeah.
Yeah, or like you do damage or whatever. Yeah, it's pretty important to know how to manage that properly in duels. There's ways to build that up. There's ways to build it for health. There's like charms and equipment and stuff like that you can run around and find. But it's never like it's a little bit of a benefit, it's a little bit of a bonus, but really it's all about your ability to fight.
Yeah.
And your ability to master the controls in the combat.
I think I prefer that to having to, go screw around with a billion side quests that you don't want to do because you need to gain some traditional levels.
Yeah.
I'd way rather do side quests because I want to do them.
Also, they're pretty breezy. Like the exploration ones that give you stat boosts and stuff like that, they're so fast.
Tell me about the traversal of the world, because I think arguably this is one of the prettiest looking worlds we've ever seen. What's it like getting around?
It often stops you in your tracks. People will probably mess around with the photo mode, and I'm going to tell you right now, don't worry too much about finding good places to take pictures, because that's most of the places. Heads up, they're all really nice. Like, graphically, especially because I'm using a basic PS4, like you get really close to some textures and like, all right, that's pretty basic shit, when you get down to the microscopic level or the individual details, sometimes shit doesn't look like completely top tier, but like the way the environments are composed, the way the graphics are like sort of assembled, the way everything like hangs together makes it all so goddamn beautiful. Also, actually getting around and navigating, they don't use like a mini map. It's just you go where the wind blows. Also, you pick a destination and you choose the direction the wind blows, and you just follow the wind. You don't have a compass or anything. You just, a breeze goes that way, and you're like, all right, that's where I got to go next. So you can like actually see the shit going by around you, and like, so you can just sort of walk or climb or hop on your horse and ride, and take it all in. And there's a lot of times when I'd be like going up a ridge or like crossing a field, and I'd be like, no, I have to stop for a second and look at this because it's fucking incredible.
Nice.
And then move on.
Oh man.
And there's cool filters in the photo mode too. Like there's this one like hazy red one that's like feels very like, I don't know, feels really spooky and like post-apocalyptic, but I think actually is supposed to be reminiscent of like some of the older samurai films. Mm-hmm. It looks so good. Oh, and speaking of speaking of filters, Kurosawa Mode.
Oh, yes.
Which I think it was unofficially known or officially known as cinematic mode for a while, but they were like working with Kurosawa's estate to be like, so we can call this Kurosawa Mode, right? And they were like, yep, by all means, go for it.
This meets the requirements. This is Kurosawa enough that it can get the checkbox. Yeah,
they basically like sent them a highlight reel, and they were like, oh yeah, for sure.
Like, oh yeah, that rain, pretty intense. Very Kurosawa.
Yeah, like when you switch to that mode, it not only does it go black and white, but I feel like this might just be my imagination. I don't know if they actually do this, but it feels like the audio changes slightly to give it that like film grain feel, that analog feel, and then you get like the little film grain marks going by sometimes, and the wind gets slightly more visible with particle effects.
Mm-hmm.
So like you can distinguish it more easily when you're trying to navigate. And it's it just looks so like I was going up some like mountainous road with like the ocean to the right of me, and the sun was like just a little ways above it, and the wind was going, and I was just kind of forging ahead, and this was in like the Kurosawa black and white mode, and it had this like powerful hit of nostalgia for something I hadn't thought about in 25 years. It was like my parents watching some old Japanese like samurai action flick that wasn't like barely colorized back when I was like 7 or 8 or something. It's just like, holy shit, that just took me there. It's crazy.
What an awesome touch. Like, I mean, it makes so much sense, like, now that they have made it and it's a thing, but, you know, how has nobody thought of this kind of thing before? And ditto with the guiding wind. That's just such a brilliant touch.
Yeah, I never want to see a fucking mini map again. You should be able to build environmental cues in where it's just like, you know where to go, because obviously your character knows, so maybe make it seem less like you're staring at your map like a fucking tourist the entire time you're going through a place. Because it just, you know, takes away from some of the majesty, of which there is, again, a lot. Also, sometimes these golden birds, well, they're just like bright yellow. You'll see them flying someplace. And sometimes they're leading you to your next like story goal. If you follow them for long enough. Sometimes it's just like a hot spring or like a fox den or something. So that's cool.
Nice. I like to be surprised. I don't want every golden bird to take me to the same kind of place. That's just boring.
Yeah. Sometimes I found it was like a story thing. Sometimes it was just I didn't have a destination set, and if one pops up, you're just like, oh, let's see where you go.
James, this game sounds outstanding. When can we play it?
July 17th, 2020. It's going to be coming out for the PS4. I highly recommend everybody give this a shot. It surprised me in a lot of ways. All of them good, and I feel like it will do the same for you.